finance, right? It's a rapidly growing segment, and at the core of it is, of course, a huge Muslim population, between a fifth and a fourth of the global population, and it's a segment that's rapidly growing. And that leads to organic demand for these services, not only from Muslims, I would say, but also generally from consumers and investors who are concerned and worried about the ethical aspect of financial services. So if we group these two together, I think, again, looking at the population, not only is it rapidly growing, but the median age is around 24 years old, meaning that many of them will be tech-savvy or digital natives, as we say. And that creates a lot of synergies between Islamic finance and FinTech. What does that translate to? It translates to a market that is expected to double in size over the next 3 years to over $300 billion by 2027, which is huge growth.
And is this market limited to GCC, MENA, or do you see the non-Islamic markets also adopting it?
Absolutely. So in the market that I described, I think there are two key hubs. So Southeast Asia and the Middle East and GCC particularly, but there's also adoption from non-OIC countries. I would say predominantly the UK, Singapore, Hong Kong, the US. There's also strong demand being seen there. But in these two hubs, of course, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, and Indonesia are not surprising. They have had good traction in Islamic finance over the years. But actually, MENA and GCC in particular have had a major market share and actually the majority of FinTech assets. And if we think about GCC specifically, right, there is an advantage there, again, going back to the population, right? Large Muslim population, a large portion of young population, and also a lot of investment in developing the infrastructure, the technology. I think there's also a very strong ecosystem here. It is actually in the top 10, so 8th in how conducive this ecosystem is, and also 6th in terms of the number of fintechs globally, in the number of Islamic fintechs globally. So there is, I think, huge potential. Now, I'm very happy to see that this wave includes more focus on new, or let's say relatively underbanked or underserved segments within fintech, because there are many different verticals and sub-verticals. What we have seen recently, I think, is a relative more concentration in payments, in e-wallets, in buy now, pay later, in wealth management, or let's say saving and investment. But I think there is still major opportunities to be had in Islamic finance. And if we dig deeper in that, SME banking, microfinance, trade finance, which are typically seen as, they're typically underbanked in our segments, right? They're typically seen as more risky when we look at it from the traditional financial institution angle. And that means that with FinTech, with new technologies when it comes to underwriting, new techniques, use of data, we can innovate better ways to serve these segments and also innovate better ways to connect them with sources of funds through crowdfunding. And another segment I would mention is also takaful, or Islamic insurance, because as well, I think insurance in general is underserved in our markets across the board. So from personal insurance, asset insurance, business insurance, export credit insurance. I think that is something which, again, there are a lot of opportunities for FinTech. So
great.
That's my short answer, let's say.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful, Amin. Thank you. Moving on to Maha. Maha, you've been a very known expert in digital assets. Great to have you. So another digital asset seems to be another most trending topic, right? And it's gaining global traction, not just in Qatar, right? So, and again, when you talk about digital asset, it's not necessarily in line with Islamic finance, right? At least not globally, right?
We'll get to that.
Okay. So how do you envision its integration with the principles of Islamic finance, specifically towards the Qatar regulation? And what challenges and opportunities do you foresee in ensuring that digital assets are Sharia compliant, while also, of course, being innovative?
Definitely. So that's a very interesting question, and I would like to challenge the notion that digital assets are not Islamic or Sharia compliant. because it boils down into how we would define digital assets. The definition that we have of digital assets within our digital asset framework that was recently launched on the 1st of September would define a digital asset as something that associates a right or a value, and it's based on real-world asset tokenization. It does not touch the creation of money out of money, which is haram or not Sharia compliant. So for us, the digital asset framework that was established in Qatar is very much in line with Sharia compliance because it always tackles a right or a value.
But that's Qatar, not internationally, right?
Internationally, recently I read from a very well-known law firm. It again depends. If you're looking into certain secure tokens or crypto assets that would relate to a specific project, then the value is in the project. So you'd always have to look into the underlying. And I don't want to be very controversial, but if you would look into money itself, what is money really based on? It's a promise from the central bank. So there is an opportunity also, just food for thought. Maybe Qatar will be the leader in creating the first Islamic Sharia compliant wholesale CBDC or CBDC project because nobody has touched upon that. But again, I feel like we have to look always into the underlying. Is it funding a project, an asset, or a right? Then it's in line with Sharia compliance. And that could include security tokens. That is okay. The speculation aspect of cryptocurrencies, I would agree. That is not Sharia compliant. But this is the first step out.
And that is something we are not touching
in No. So cryptocurrencies and stablecoins are currently prohibited under the Qatari Digital Asset Framework. Moving on, you've also mentioned the overall opportunities that we would see in the combination of digital assets, DLT, blockchain, and Islamic finance. And I feel like this is going to be huge. Why? Because knowing that the Qatari Digital Asset Framework is by definition Sharia compliant, we could already unlock a lot of opportunities. Sukuk, issuance and trading, green bonds that are also could be Sharia compliant. Looking into the financial inclusion aspect, DLT can immediately enhance remittance and access to capital to underserved populations with reducing fractions of the costs. And I also see the use of digital assets in something that was never really discussed a lot previously, which is maybe our Sharia boards can create DAOs, because Sharia councils are needed, but how could we implement the idea of Sharia councils and Sharia boards in Islamic finance and digital assets? Maybe we can have our first Sharia DAO. So there is enormous amount of opportunities in the combination of both. And I would echo what was said before. The market that we're talking about, I had a very quick research. We're talking about 1.8 billion Muslims. But if we do it right with the combination of green finance or ethical investing, etc., we can also increase tremendously our target market. And the latest study from the London Stock Exchange shows that the Islamic finance market cap is expected to be 6.7 trillion by 2027, and would be expected to be increasing by 12% after that, like annually. So I think that this is a perfect opportunity for Qatar, maybe I'm a bit biased, to have the best combination of Islamic FinTech and digital assets and scale it globally.
Great. We'll come back to you on the opportunities on those numbers and, on that part. Moving on to Amin. See, this is, at the end of the day, this is a startup event, right? We have startups over here. And as much as we talk, from a macro perspective, we also want to talk from a micro perspective and give the startups over here some better understanding on how they could actually consider new solutions when it comes to Islamic FinTech. What are the new solutions that they should be considering when it comes to Islamic FinTech, right? Now, I think so, Islamic FinTech, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see it as a vertical, I see it as a horizontal, right? Because within Islamic FinTech, there's so many different verticals that comes within that, right? So for a startup who's looking to get into this space, right, with your expertise, with your knowledge, with your wisdom, what specific areas would you recommend them to get into, and how do you see them working with banks? How do you see them working with the financial institutions? Where do you see this entire journey growing?
Okay. So I think in terms of the opportunities, I mentioned earlier specific segments, I think within Islamic finance, let's say, I talked about SME lending, microfinance, also, let's say, trade finance, invoice discounting, factoring, and so on, supply chain finance as well. I think there the opportunity is from the side of the demand, right? Now, from the side of execution, how do you make this happen? I think that requires, in essence, the right business model, right? So you have to have the use of technology which allows you to execute in a matter that is quicker than banks, so that you are offering them a service, right? So there's a technology that allows you to service the invoices, the transactions.
Sorry to interrupt you, but before we get there, don't you think there is a step where you actually need to identify the gap, right? You need to actually identify these use cases, these problems that are existing in the market, right? So if I'm a startup, right, I'm coming into the local market, for me to have a visibility of my path or where I'm going to head, I need to have certain use case, a problem that I'm solving, right? So do you, how do you see that working out? Do you think that banks need to come forward with these use cases, circulate them with the startups? Like, there has to be some sort of synergy working out there.
Correct. Look, I think in terms of the banks, I think banks typically what we've seen is that they tend to go into these segments through setting up, let's say, fintech arms or otherwise. I think the real opportunity is actually with development banks, right? In terms of doing the risk sharing and also like indirect finance or using fintechs as sort of the arm that allows for better execution through the technology.
I would disagree to that, but for the sake of conversation, we'll go on.
Yes, but in terms of the market gaps, again, going back to what I mentioned, I think is executing against certain transactions. Trade finance is a very, I think, good use case for that, where we are, processing financing against certain transactions where the speed of processing is important. Now with open account trading, it's becoming more and more important. And that's a definite opportunity, I think.
Great. Maha, for you. For fintechs who are looking to get into the area of digital asset, and lately I've been coming across a lot of them, right? Yeah. As I said, it's a very trending topic. It's a very, it's a very attractive sector, right? So what are the key opportunities and barriers they should be aware of when operating around the Qatar's regulatory and business landscape?
Okay. So we will tackle the opportunities. Opportunities is that it's a relatively untapped market. There is basically a lot of flag planting that you can do by being into it, but that would require a lot of work, because sadly, I still see a lot of misconception when it comes to what blockchain is, what digital assets are, and the fear that everything blockchain or digital assets is automatically linked with money laundering and terrorism financing, which is absolutely not the case. Actually, it's proven that the worst way to launder money is by using digital assets, because you'll always leave an absolute trail. So first of all, there might be a bit of, let's say, capacity building and training that would be needed. I think there is an opportunity with understanding that fintechs or Islamic fintechs, to scale, you would need to have some sort of a public-private partnership. And this is exactly where QDB comes to play, because fintechs in isolation would not scale, and we would need the distribution channels, the licenses, and the awareness that would come from the traditional and the governmental entities. So find your allies and try to find specifically a problem to solve. An example that we would have is smart contracts. Did anyone start designing or developing a Sharia-compliant smart contract? What are the scenarios and the what-ifs that you want to implement? You could look into digital assets from a government perspective also, with the distribution of zakat, or looking into a lot of illiquid assets like real estate that we can start having, which is Sharia compliant also, and creating a liquid market for it. So these are the opportunities. Frankly speaking, I don't really see a lot of obstacles aside from a bit of the capacity and awareness that will be done, because everything that you can do in traditional finance, you can also do in Islamic finance. With the only thing that we are underestimating how the scale of Islamic fintech and Islamic finance will grow by, because it will just say, I'm not sure it's Sharia compliant, or I'm not sure if I have the right Sharia board. But frankly, I think that the obstacles are all in our heads and they're slightly illusional.
Great. So we'll wrap up with that, but I just want to ask one question to both of you, and very short answer. So one do and one don't for startups who are looking to get into the Islamic fintech, one do and one don't for startups looking into digital asset space. So let's go with you, Maha.
First
Short.
do is get started, find an ally. Don't, please stop asking us if cryptocurrencies and stablecoins are allowed.
Okay. That's pretty specific. Amin, do you have any advice?
Sure. So one do is, I would say, find the right segment which is underserved, right? Don't go after the trend, right? The same, more of the same that we're seeing now from the startups, right? Be innovative. And one don't, I guess, is not be Sharia compliant.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Amin. Thank you, Maha. Great to have you guys. Thank you. All right. I hope that was valuable. I hope that provided some insights. I don't want to take a lot of your time. So the next segment, we'll go through it pretty quick. This is probably the most important segment of today. It is to announce the startups that have joined our program. Just before we get there, a quick snapshot to how we got to where we are today. This is a quick look into the selection process that goes into selecting the startups. So we have two paths, basically, one coming from our hackathon. So a few months ago, we hosted Qatar Innovation Hackathon, through which we were able to onboard 6 startups that came from the hackathon, and then we started the online applications for the Wave 6 through the online campaigns and offline campaigns that we did. We were able to receive 260 plus applications. These were worldwide, out of which we shortlisted 16 for pitching, and we were able to select 8. So in total, we are onboarding 14 startups that are becoming a part of this wave. And these are the startups that are being part of the current wave. Kindly give them a huge round of applause, please. Next up. All right. So just to name them, so we have quite a good mix of local and international companies. When it comes to Islamic fintech, we have Wafir, which is a local startup. We have them over here with us. Dhahabi, they are around GCC. Credit Plus, they are based in GCC. Credflow, also based internationally. Amana, based in Qatar. Ahmini, also based in Qatar, coming all the way from Tunisia. FinClude, based out of Pakistan, but moving to Qatar very soon. When it comes to digital assets, we have Green Vito, which is based in Qatar. AltDRX, which is also based in Qatar, moved here. We have FinRock. We have Comodox, also based in Qatar. FinRock, based out of the UK and US, UK and UAE. We have Ahmini, if I'm not mistaken. We have ArcaX, based in Qatar, and Blade Labs. Shar State. That's Shar State, also based in Qatar. And lastly, Blade Labs, located regionally. So these are the companies. Kindly give them another round of applause. Great. Sorry? All right. I figured that. Okay. Next up, we have the important segment where we said we are celebrating the success of one of our startup, which is SpendWiser. So again, in a very quick manner. This is just to give you an understanding of how far and how quick SpendWiser has come where they have come today within a span of 1 year. So SpendWiser joined the Qatar FinTech Hub Hackathon in 2023, after which they went through a series of milestones, and after a year, like just over a year, today they are one of the 5 companies that are accepted in the Buy Now, Pay Later sandbox. They have completed 150 plus transactions with a value exceeding 450,000 riyals. That's, I think, so a great achievement. And we hope they'll be live soon from the sandbox. But today, they are also, they have recently got into a partnership with Tamween, which is an arm of Al Jazeera Finance. And we are happy to host the signing ceremony for them. So please, I would request the gentlemen from both the entities to come here and do the signing, please. Mike? Yes, you can sign here. Yes, here. Yes, yes, please. That's okay. You can sign here. No, that's fine. Yeah, that's the correct place. Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words, anyone? Please, would you like to say something? Yes, sure, sure. Please, you can have a group picture. Dr. Hamid, would you like to join, please? Mohammed, do you want to join, please? Hani.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وبعد. أمانة يمكن أنا كان عندي فكرة قبل ما أجي هالمؤتمر هذا، فأمانة أود أن أشكر الدكتور حمد والأخ محمد على جهودهم، وأنا كثير أمانة اليوم اللي شفته جدا أعطاني انطباع طيب أنكم في الاتجاه الصحيح. فإحنا أمانة نيابة عن مجلس إدارة شركة الجزيرة وهذا القطاع المهم، إحنا ندعم هذا التوجه. إن شاء الله سوف يكون له واقع طيب على تعزيز الديجيتال انفايرمنت، ويمكن الصيرفة الإسلامية في المرحلة هذه تحتاج هذا النوع من الجهود. أنا أيضا كان الرقم صراحة كان رقم جديد بالنسبة لي، فولدان إنكم قدرتوا تسوون هالإنجاز هذا في خلال الفترة هذه. فكل الدعم وكل الشكر وجهودكم، نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلها إن شاء الله في مصلحة هذا الاقتصاد ومع رؤية 2030 إن شاء الله. الشكر لله سبحانه وتعالى ثم لجهودكم الخيرة إن شاء الله، ونتطلع شراكتنا مع سبنوايزر إن شاء الله بأن تكون رافد لتعزيز هذا السيكتورز وتنوع الخيارات للمستهلك إن شاء الله. شكرا جزيلا لجهودكم محمد كول جميع.
الشكر لكم أخوي سعيد على دعمكم الدائم لجميع الشركات الناشئة، وتأكد أن البرنامج هذا ما ينجح بذراع واحدة، وذراع واحدة ما تصفق. البنك احنا يمكن نمشي في طريق، لكن انتم المحرك الرئيسي لهذا القطاع، المهم صراحة، وأيضا تبني الشركات الناشئة. هذا أكبر إنجاز ممكن احنا نحققه من خلال تخريج الأفواج هذه. فالشكر لكم على أن يعني احنا نقول للشركاء خل قلبك قوي وادخل مع الشركات، وهذا اللي انتم صراحة قاعدين تسوونه مع مثلا سبند وايزر، ونتمنى التوفيق لجميع الشركات. واحنا بعد يعني نوجه رسالة للشركات الناشئة ان تراك ممكن بكرة تكون في محل سبند وايزر، لكن يحتاج منها شوي جد واجتهاد، واحنا ان شاء الله معكم في هذا الطريق. ونشكركم اخوي على الكلمات الطيبة اللي وجهتوها لنا. شكرا.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Keep it here. All right. Thank you so much. Big congratulations to Spendwiser and Al Jazeera Finance. This is a huge milestone in the ecosystem. And as Dr. Hamad said, this is not a one-time thing, and we look to continue this. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have more startups who will be joining this journey. Right? So moving on, we have another important milestone to celebrate. This is for test payment. So again, very quick look at the journey of test payment. So test payment was founded in 2017, after which they went through a series of achievements. In 2020, they joined the Wave 1 FinTech Incubator and Accelerator program. They were in the accelerator track. In 2021, they became the payment gateway provider for Ooredoo Money, after which they have completed over $1 billion e-commerce volume processed. I think so, which is a great milestone. We should give it a round of applause. In a few months ago, they acquired the PSP license from the central bank. They went on to be awarded as the winner for Visa Everywhere initiative. We are fortunate to co-host that event with Visa, and today they are getting into a partnership with Fingular, which is a fintech giant based out of Singapore. So the idea is for them to revolutionize the digital banking and be one of the first fully customer-focused neobank in Qatar. Would like to welcome the representatives from both the entities to please come here and do the signing ceremony, please. You can sign it here. You can sign it here. Great. Maybe we can have a group picture with both the teams. Dr. Hamad, Muhammad, Hani, you guys can please present. Test team, please. Saad, I will join you as test team. Ali, we have a request for you to join the picture.
Where is Ali's profile? You orchestrated the deal, so please.
Great. So Ali is the guy with the deep pockets. He leads the pre-seed investment. Great. Saad, Maxim, would you guys?
Okay, so thank you everyone, and it goes without saying that this all is basically towards the QDB and QFTH team. Without the endless support of QDB, specifically I can see the old names when we started the Qatar FinTech Hub. Mr. Imadi is here, Mr. Hani, Ali, and our dear friend George Salim. I'm missing him because this all would have not been possible without this particular people and closing this kind of a deal. What we are trying to do is definitely there will be a press release out of it so you can get a better idea about the dynamics of our partnership. But in a nutshell, today we have achieved the significant milestone of making Qatar as a trusted ecosystem player in fintech services. So this particular deal shows that Qatar is able to pull international investments, technology, and resource, which will reinforce the vision of Qatar National FinTech Strategy of 2030 and what our dear friends in QDB and QFTH are trying to do. The short-term focus is to start with online cash loans, digital lending, definitely under the supervision of Qatar Central Bank, to the underbanked population of Qatar, primarily the blue-collar workers. And the long-term agenda is to establish a full-blown digital neobank based out of Qatar. So our partner Fingular is currently active in 6 markets as we speak and going to be active in 8 more markets by the end of next year, which will effectively makes us as the Qatar as the hub of this particular digital banking efforts. So thank you so much. I would really like to re-emphasize again that you cannot get this kind of support in any other country in the world. You can go to Saudis or to any other regions. I'm so sorry if I'm taking the names, but since they are the largest player in the region and where all the investors and the fintechs are going, but no, this is a reinforcement that Qatar is the place. You can get a free access to all the corridors, regulators, investors, technical players, and this makes Qatar as the best place to launch the startup in beyond Qatar as well. So thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to connect again in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saad. Saad, you forgot to mention me, but it's okay. Thank you so much, Saad, for the kind words. This is something which we always mention, right? And we're very transparent about it. That Qatar might not be as dense of a market as the regional, as our neighboring countries. However, it is one of the best launch pads. You have the entire ecosystem working hand in hand to enable you. The regulator themselves are very active, directly involved. You have the commercial licensing platform with the likes of QFC. You have the sector developer QDB. You have government venture funds. Now you have the private venture funds with the likes of Rasmal, who have recently launched. So. You are just, you are one of the great examples of this, and we look forward to and we hope to see many more of such. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of today's event. Before we conclude, we'd just like to call all the startups who are part of the current wave to please come here. We'll take a quick group picture with Dr. Hamad, with Muhammad, Hani, Ali, with the team, and then we'll have some networking session with you all. Great. So startups who are part of Wave 6, please join us for a group picture. I saw a few of you over here. Yeah, if you can, please move this. These startups, Aisha, Andrew, Anjana, please. Please. Hi. And the QFTH team, please join us. Muhammad, Dr. Hamad, please. If you're comfortable. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Great. Can we have pictures? Thank you. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's good. Marcel, join us, please. Right. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Very excited to kick off this journey with all of you. And we have some refreshments, some coffee, some food. Looking forward to networking with you all. Thank you.